So it all started for me with a book, and it was this book, which was Usborne's Build Your Own Website. I read this when I was in intermediate school, and I was amazed that I could crack open a text editor and I could write lines of code and I'd see images come up on my screen. This is what I spent my high school years doing. I made images, I got into 3D, I did gig posters for all of my friends' bands, and a friend from school was friends with Kimbra, and so I did her MySpace page back when MySpace was a thing, and we did some album covers and things. Some of it was successful, a lot of it kind of wasn't, but it was really fun. And I had an amazing high school graphics teacher, a guy called Ron Van Muscher, and he really introduced me to the design process, which is this idea of you make something and then you can make it better and improve on it and iterate on it. And I really credit him with being the reason that I ended up studying design and having a career in this. So I came to Massey, and I'd been working a little bit with this 3D stuff and some product stuff, but I left that at home, and I decided that what I wanted to do was come and learn about ideas and communication, because I had a mentor during my high school years, and he said, look, your technical craft is okay, but you need to learn to think about stuff better. So I did that, and really I treated design school like a bit of a playground. And the projects I'd work on, I'd always try and do something a little bit different that I hadn't done before. So here I worked with photography, and I was out in the middle of nowhere at 2 o'clock in the morning, burning design to the ground. And my tutor actually said, do you realise that when you do this, you actually make napalm when you burn polystyrene with a nail polish remover? So probably should have worn a mask or something, but I didn't realise that at the time. As well as that, I sort of felt like design is kind of this synthesis of having ideas, but then also sort of being able to pull them off and make them sort of work. And this is a project for my third year, which I really felt kind of got there. And really, it's a poster and a booklet for people who are like font nerds who like look at fonts all day and stuff. And it's a big inside joke. It's got all these little details, and it's not particularly politically correct. But what amazed me about this was I sent it off to a design award, and actually picked up 2 New Zealand Best Awards for this piece of work. And I was kind of amazed by that, because it's got this sort of brash, bright pink thing going on. It's kind of severe. I kind of took this idea of being not politically correct a little bit further in my major project, and what I looked at was, well, what's the value when you type a message to someone on Facebook? What's that communication actually mean? And you can sort of see, maybe I think it wasn't worth all that much. So I printed out about 1 kilometre worth of people's blogs using a repurposed fax machine, and I built this sort of reading room where you could go in and experience this content in a different way. And for me, really what that was about is that Wikipedia only knows as much as we do, and Google doesn't really have all the answers. To an extent, we still need each other. During my 4th year, I got an internship. That's kind of been a theme this evening, but I got an internship at DesignWorks. And while I was there, I got to work on a couple of really unlikely projects. One was we did this pitch for Telecom, and I made this little animation one evening. I kind of pulled an all-nighter on it, and then I almost fell off my chair when it showed up on TV the next week, and it was on the start of all these, like when you turn on the phone and all this sort of stuff. I was also really fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Air New Zealand, and they're a fantastic company on their in-flight entertainment. And what really amazed me about this was I was really into the idea that when you do a piece of work, people are kind of interacting with it, or people are having some sort of effect from it. And I realised, hey, that's the sort of work I really want to be doing. I've liked this graphic stuff, but I want to sort of get back into that stuff I left behind back in high school, a sort of interactivity a bit more. Around about this time, I took Blogroll off to a design festival over in London, which was Neville Brody's anti-design festival, and it was this really like anarchic, kind of crazy gallery space, and people were like beating up all of the artwork in it. But it was a really fun time. While I was there, I kind of had this existential quarter-life crisis. And I was like, man, I've been working really, really hard. I've been pulling these massive hours, and it's not really what I want to be doing. There's got to be something more. And so I came home from that, and I quit my job, which freaked my parents out. And then I came back to Massey, and I did some tutoring, which was awesome. I loved that. Also started with some friends a little manufacturing business on the side, trying to do ethical manufacturing, making scarves and a couple of bags, things like that. I fell in with this crowd called Springload, and this is where I work at the moment. As you can see, they take work extremely seriously, and they're an interactive design firm, and they work at scale, and I really like that. We had 54 million visits to projects we've worked on in the last year. So it's nice being able to work on projects that have like a resonance in culture. This is definitely by far my favourite project of working with the New Zealand Red Cross, and success in a project like this is we could see that someone had read an article about the work these guys were doing in Syria, and they'd been so moved by the content that they donated $1,000 right in page. And being able to have an impact and help people on the other side of the world through a digital experience, through interactivity, really amazes me. And we've had millions of dollars of donations through this website now, so yeah, it's probably still my favourite piece, I'd say. So what I do now is I'm a front-end developer, which is a little bit different from being a designer. It doesn't say design on the tin, but I still do a lot of design. Just rather than doing it with pictures, I do it with code. And that's really interesting. It's different challenges, but I think a lot of design, especially online, is moving towards using more code. You know, how does this panel slide up? What length of time does that transition need to take? All those sorts of countless decisions which make a good product. I'm still involved in some way with Massey University. We've just collaborated on the new version of On the Fence, which went live about 3 weeks ago. Just looking at how can we get people talking in a more positive way about elections. You know, there's dirty politics and stuff, but how can we make politics positive, I guess. And this has had a really huge engagement. We've had something like 2 million page views in the last 3 weeks alone. And it's cool to be able to turn on the radio and hear people talking about On the Fence and the difference it's making in their voting. I've just started working with a friend of mine on a little project for a non-profit, and it kind of amazes me sometimes what the reach of design is. Like, there's this fellow on the other side of the world taking a look at the prototype at the moment, and I was really amazed that a little idea that some people had in Wellington, New Zealand, could sort of scale around the world. And so we haven't launched this yet, but it's sort of on the way, which is quite cool. So I think design gives us a choice. Yes, you can use design to make a wonderful, comfortable life for yourself, but you can also use it to solve social problems. And for me, that's the really exciting thing. I guess Massey gives you the opportunity and gives you the tools, I think, to really unpack culture and to understand where we are and what we're doing. And yeah, for me, I think this is where I want to be working more, is in this social space. I want to be doing stuff that really leaves a dent in the world. And so, you know, if you're tossing it up, I'd say definitely come here. Massey gives you a great set of tools to understand life, and you know, you can leave your mark and you can find your voice here. So thanks.